Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: client wanted a cold latte without ice, and got a terrible drink, because the desire of the client is the law. The second story: owner says I won't be paid as an on-call worker during break. The third story: we kept the customer waiting and served her a bad drink because that was her wish. Today's first story is less ice, if you say so. I'm a barista at a small coffee shop and we do blended drinks. Basically just pick a drink off the menu and add the word frozen to it, and we'll pour over ice and then blend. And it takes a decent amount of ice since you're going for the blended slushy texture. It doesn't affect the taste unless you let the drink melt and get all watered down. I get to work and this woman is already at the register while my coworker tells her it'll be a minute because she's in the middle of a drink. I walk behind the counter to go to the office to drop off my stuff and clock on. And this woman sees me and immediately starts saying, Hey, can I order? I say it'll be a minute, as I'm still carrying my bag and my coat, obviously not in a position to be making drinks. My coworker tells her again that she'll be with her in a second, as soon as she's finished with the drink she's making first. I drop off my stuff and venture out to the tills to clock on, and the woman again starts talking to me and rattling off questions when I haven't even clocked in yet, and was clocking in early just so that she wouldn't have to wait for my coworker to finish up. The conversation goes as follows. Her: do you have any blended drinks? Me: oh yeah, it's her. You know, blended, like with ice and blended together? Me: yes, as I was saying, we do. It's our frozen drinks on the her. Blended drinks? They're called fraps. Ever heard of them is what I imagine she was saying in her head. Me tired of her cutting me off every time I try to explain, and finally able to get her to stop talking. Yes, we do. Our frozen drinks. Her: how are those made? Which was a dumb A question since she was just over-explaining a blended drink to me and cutting me off when I try to point out the options on the menu. Just the base drink, and then a good amount of ice. Put it all in a blender. Me: just like the normal base drink, then we fill it with ice and blend it. Her: large blended latte, light ice. I don't take the light ice comment too seriously, since any blended drink relies on a full cup size of ice to give it the blended texture. I just figure I'll level the ice in the cup rather than heap a mound over the top. She pays and steps back, and I pour ice into the cup all the way to the brim, which is less than we normally do for blended drinks. The customer practically hops over the counter and screams, "Excuse me, I said light ice." I turn to her with a look on my face and explain that this is less ice, because normally for blended drinks we use way more, and if I used less ice than what I had, the drink would just be an iced latte with ice dust in it. Her not even listening to me or comprehending what I said. Less ice. I smile, say okay, and pour out most of the ice, until it only fills a third of the cup. Let me reiterate again, we normally use 1.5 cups of ice for blended drinks, to give it that blended texture, which is the entire point of ordering a blended drink. I was using less than a third of the ice I was supposed to put in for a normal serving. I fill her cup with milk, and the espresso shots, and pour the mixture into the blender. I watch as the blender just chops up the total of 5 ice cubes until it's just ice dust, which melts right into the espresso, and out of the blender comes a very frothy, no ice to be seen, cold but not that cold latte. I pour the iceless drink into the plastic cup and slide it out onto the bar. Frozen latte with light ice, I call out, and watch as the woman looks up from her phone to see the cold, iceless latte on the counter, with me smiling at her. She looks like she's confused at the drink's texture, and almost as if she's going to say something until I say, I hope there wasn't too much ice in there. I took out most of it like you asked. She takes the drink and leaves. Enjoy your frothy, watery, not that cold because there wasn't enough iced latte. I never could figure it out. She wanted a latte with or without ice. She asked for a mixed drink, but ended up with ice. Very strange. As I understand it, the point of ordering mixed is to get the texture. And this woman was literally left with no ice, because the blender chopped it up and it melted, mostly in the warm latte. Either way, she got what she wanted. You have to know how to articulate your demands correctly. A long time ago, I worked as a cook in a fast food restaurant. A customer ordered fries and asked for them to be fried. I did what the customer wanted, and fried the potatoes as well. After a couple of minutes, the waiter returned my order and said that the customer wasn't happy and thought the fries weren't fried enough. Okay, the customer's word is law. I took another batch of potatoes and roasted them to charcoal. They were black and I doubt they tasted good. I gave the order to the waiter and she took it to the customer. I don't know what happened next, but the waiters told me that no one ate the potatoes, and they just threw them away after the customers left. The next story is, so I'm not required to be on call? Cool, I'll be back in an hour. A bit of backstory. I worked as a relatively young new manager of a small business. There were about 4 managers who all reported to the owner. We had about 20 staff members, and I regularly was in charge of 5 to 6 staff members at a time. Now for the MC. My shift was due to run for 9 hours on this day, and the employee handbook, as well as the national award, stated that this shift required a 1-hour lunch break. There's also a specific subsection where it stipulates that if you're required to remain on call during your lunch break, then you would be paid for the entire hour. When I approached the owner about this, I was told that I could just eat some sandwiches in the staff room, cramped dark storage room, and just go help out if anyone needed me. I argued that this would mean that I was on call, and therefore should be paid for the break. He was having none of it, and claimed that if I needed to nip out to buy some lunch, then of course that would be fine, as I wasn't on call. Here's where the MC comes in. If I'm not on call during my break, then I sure as hell wasn't going to hang out in a storage closet for an hour. So I made sure that on the day of the MC, I had some of my senior staff members working with me. I explained that I needed to leave the store for an hour for a lunch break, and I picked a nice quiet day, and made sure the staff had my personal cell phone number in case something went wrong. I was only 5 minutes down the road, and made sure I could be there if urgent, but for this to work I had to be off camera and away from the center for the full hour. I then proceeded to head down to a local lunch bar, read the paper, and just enjoyed the peace and quiet for exactly the amount of time that I had for my break. I ran my watch timer as I left the store to ensure complete compliance of the 1-hour break. It took 3 shifts for the owner to realize I was doing this, and when he did find out, all hell broke loose. I was told something along the lines of, what if something had happened? The junior staff doesn't have the experience to deal with major situations. What if someone held us up at gunpoint while you were away? Every situation he brought up highlighted the fact that I needed to be there at all times. To which I calmly responded that I was on break, and I then repeated his claim that I was not on call and could leave the store to go get lunch if I wanted to. He started to realize what was happening and asked me not to do it again until he had a chat with the relevant people. The next week he had a meeting with me explaining that it was wrong for him to ask me to stay in the center on call without pay, and that from now on all managers will be paid for their breaks. It's been 4 years now and managers have come and gone, but all of them have since been paid for their breaks. I feel like I made a positive change for the employees, and I'm proud that I made the effort to show them that we needed to be on call. You did the right thing in setting limits on your working hours. Many bosses take advantage of your kindness and neglect your time. They think your whole life is devoted to work, and you don't have time for lunch because you have to be here. But I would make a note to you. Being available at all times, you were still connected, even though you were out of the office. I'd turn off the D-foam and enjoy my lunchtime. You don't have to be at work all the time when you have free time, a break. As someone who appreciates a precious 1-hour pay break, I would fight for every manager to be left alone for an hour each day, ensuring that they get a proper break. That for sure would lead to better mental health for all managers, and an overall increase in productivity. It will benefit everyone, you and the bosses. Good for you for getting management to give you what you're entitled to. Great job. The last story is, don't you dare make that until I get to the window. You got it, Chief. So I work at a popular ice cream franchise, and my store also sells your normal fast food. I say this because I know there are some specific stores out there that are just ice cream. I work in the ice cream section. I deal with anything ice cream. Duh, blended drinks and baked treats on the daily. I always wear a headset so I can listen to drive-through orders and help make sure Drive keeps good times by staying on top of everything. This one night we were absolutely slammed on drive-through. Thankfully, Front didn't have any orders, so my partner and I didn't have to worry as much. This one lady comes up to the speaker, orders her food, and then she orders one of our parfaits, which consists of hot fudge, peanuts, and ice cream. We were still a couple orders behind in my station, so I didn't worry too much about hurrying to get it done. But that is when the lady gets snarky with our drive-through person. Don't you dare make that until I get to the window, she says. Every time I come here, the parfait is always completely melted. My manager pipes in with her sickeningly nice tone of voice. If you'd like, we can replace the hot fudge with cold fudge, because the hot fudge is what makes the ice cream melt. She doesn't usually treat customers like children, but this lady needed this treatment. No, the lady responds, audibly offended, and sounding as though my manager had just asked her the dumbest, most obvious question in the world. I want it normal. Now, if she requested nicely that we wait on making her parfait, I would have asked our drive-through person to let me know as soon as the car in front of her drove off, so I could make her parfait as fast as possible to give her the best non-melted parfait she had ever received. But because she had talked to him and my manager like that, everyone with headsets shared the same exact thought. She wants it made when she gets to the window, so be it. When our drive-through person told me she was at the window, I went in slow motion. This lady had been waiting for at least 5 minutes in the line at this point, thanks to the people in front of her ordering a lot from the grill section. I was sure she wouldn't mind waiting another minute or so for her parfait. I paced myself so that her fast food got to her first, slowly but surely making the parfait. After all, she didn't specifically say anything about still making it fast, right? Yes, the hot fudge started melting the bottom layer of ice cream, but surely it was better than being completely melted. After the parfait was done, we got it out and continued on with our lives. But I desperately wish I could have seen the look on her face while she waited more time than necessary for something that most likely still melted by the time she got home. Moral of the story: don't be a snark lord to fast food workers, especially on a busy night. They have the ability to make everything a little more mildly inconvenient for you, and you could end up being the butt of their jokes for months to come. Yes, I do understand that I too acted pretty scummy in this situation, so I don't blame any of you for being judgmental of my actions. Thankfully, she was the final person of the drive-through line while I was making her parfait, so no unfortunate soul had to wait with her. We did get hit again a few minutes later, though. I honestly would like to thank those of you who voiced your concerns about that whole ordeal. It's just that my coworkers are like family to me, so hearing that lady not only make her request in the snobbiest way possible, but also talk to my coworkers as though they were incompetent, just rubbed me the wrong way. Yes, it could have been handled better, but since it's now in the past, I've grown to learn from it. Never be mean to people who serve you because they can ruin your life. Making her wait wasn't enough. I would have ruined her drink as well. But it's bad enough that you made the other customers wait. You should have given her the rest of her order as usual, and then made her stop and wait for the parfait, instead of keeping everyone else in line. I will never understand how some people think it's okay to treat anyone that way, especially people who are involved in the food they are going to pay for and consume. I used to work in a customer support call center. A horrible customer scolding me on the phone? I add a bunch of one product to her online cart, so that the next time she goes to order and doesn't see her online cart, she's confused. The customer didn't take them off, and she ended up with 10 sets of chocolate candy in her bags. I only found out today when I checked her account. My coworker was mad at me because she had to return all the extra, but I had a great laugh. I know what I did was wrong, but she peeved me off. Don't forget to subscribe and have a nice day.